If I was to put petrol in this can and pour it across this room and then ignite it, we would most probably die a horrible and painful death. No, I won't do that. Not today, not ever. But 20 years ago, I was in that exact situation, and I would have burnt down my high school. I was angry. I was angry because I had been expelled. I had been falsely accused, convicted without trial, and brusquely sent away from the school, all in the span of less than 1 day. I was seething with fury. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters. Many of us have been in that situation. A situation when you are so angry and the only outlet seems to revenge because you have been falsely accused on the basis of unfounded allegations. And what makes it even worse sometimes is that those you need the most are not there for you. Can you believe what my father said when he saw the expulsion letter? Why did you open this letter which was addressed to me? And then he never spoke to me for a number of days. My mother pretended like everything was going to be okay when clearly it was not. My sister? She shrugged and continued preparing food. My life was over, and here my family was treating it as if it was nothing. What would the neighbors say? Loser! Drop out. I was so afraid of even leaving my room because of being mocked. And I stayed inside my room, secluding myself. And soon enough, dark thoughts took control of my mind, and a seed of revenge was planted. I would have to go back to the school in a few days with my father to collect my belongings. That was going to be my opportunity for payback. And I bought the can of petrol and readied myself for revenge. The night before, I decided to go and drink away any hesitation I had to commit my plan of arson. And when I staggered back in later that night, who do I find seated on my bed? My mother. And I instantly sobered up. She gestured to me to come and sit next to her, and then turned, and in the softest, most motherly voice, she said, "Harry, I know you're going through a tough time, but the best way to revenge is to succeed." And she stood and left. And I don't know if it was a cheap illicit liquor or my mother's words which finally pierced my hardening heart and burst the dam of emotion that I had held back. And I cried. I cried from guilt, I cried from shame, and finally, I cried for release. And after I removed my hands from my face, I noticed that the jerry can was still there. She had seen it, but left it intact. She left me that choice. Burn the whole school down and assuage my bloodlust for vengeance. Or get payback despite the cloud that was hanging over me by being a success. My mother could have punished me. She could have berated me and told me revenge is bad, revenge is wrong. But instead, she gave me a lesson that I carry up to this day. You see, revenge is like a car. If you fuel it with anger, you're going to crash and burn and leave yourself and others broken and scarred. But if you fuel it with a determination to succeed, it can take you to wonderful places. And so I made the decision. I was going to fuel my revenge mobile with a determination to succeed. And my family was ready to help me. My father agreed to go to the school on his own to collect my belongings. And then he enrolled me in a nearby district day school. And I decided I was going to work hard. And I worked harder than I've ever worked in my life. Anytime I faltered, I would remember my mother's words and push myself even harder. A few months later, I completed my final exam in high school. And by chance, I met the discipline master for the former school while walking on the streets. And it took all I had to be polite and to be calm and greet him. And soon, our conversation got round to, so how did you perform in the final high school exams? This was it, my chance for revenge. And I smiled and said in the sweetest voice, "Oh, I passed with an A, top of my class, and I've even been admitted to study law." What I want to tell you today is that you might not be in the same circumstances that I was, but sooner or later, you are going to face iniquity, you're going to face injustice. Cruel men and women are going to try and cause you harm and suffering, and your faith in people will be tested repeatedly. And you can make a choice. Either fuel your car with anger or fuel it with determination. Make the right choice, and your revenge will be sweet.